It's impossible to actually see it all, but I assure you I've seen it all. From budget knives to blades I can't afford at all. When I want the best, I know I want custom. It's time to remind you about that well-finished crew that make insane custom knives, I'm telling you. But if you think you're getting off cheap, you don't have a clue. You gotta screw loose. When you see the price, don't come unglued. Let's talk it through. I know this is all new to you. Let's power through. Custom knives made on a machine. Truly custom, yeah, the best that you've seen. Sometimes no two alike, each makes you feel like you've hit the jackpot, you've won the prize. This is the mastery of Hog House Knives. And through their evolution, they've mastered their execution and are creating absolute perfection. Welcome to the slaughterhouse. Options for everyone, they know no bounds. This little piggy went to market, this little piggy stayed home. This little piggy paused the axis till they looked like chrome. So if you're ready to expand your collection at hand and add some class to your ass, I highly suggest sign up on the list and get an order on the books. And when your knife comes in, take a breath and hold it in, because once you open that box, you'll need a whiskey on the rocks to come down from that high, the elation this ride. Custom knives made on a machine. Truly custom, yeah, the best that you've seen. Sometimes no two alike, each makes you feel like you've hit the jackpot, you've won the prize. This is the mastery of Hog House Knives. And through their evolution, they've mastered their execution and are creating absolute perfection. Welcome to the slaughterhouse.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jim. Thank you as always for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about something I am beside myself with excitement to share with you. And this is two knives from Hog House Knives. To say that I'm excited about this is an understatement. To say that this is an unboxing is a flat out lie, because I unboxed these about a month ago and I've been carrying them a lot ever since. Now, 2 years ago, almost 3 actually, I had the tremendous pleasure of introducing many of you to Hog House Knives, a brand owned by 2 talented people in Finland. And yes, it was founded on a pig farm, and that's why it's called Hog House Knives. And I said that these guys would be a dominant force in the near future because of the quality of their work and how exceptional it was. Now, 2 years later, I can confidently say that they are the absolute pinnacle of modern machine customs. And that's saying a lot, because you're out there in a category dominated by names like Grimsmo, Holt, Brown Knives, Oz Machine with their wildly popular Roosevelt. I have experienced all of them and owned many of them as well. But just nothing compares. Nobody is on this level. Tapio and Viljami have raised the bar not only with the intricate machining and design, but also in the final finishing and the absolute perfection of the build. Now, I realize that there are a lot of people out here that talk about knives on YouTube these days. And a lot of them will throw out very hyperbolic terminology like perfect and perfection and things like that. That's not me. I'm an OG. I go back to 2012. Go back and watch any of my catalog of videos. It is exceptionally rare for me to say something like, this knife is a level of perfection. And honestly, that's saved for knife makers like Ron Best and Joe Caius and that level of unbelievable craftsmanship. And I'm actually able to say that here about the Hog House Knives because their build quality is perfection. Their machining is flawless. Their tolerances are tight. Their finishing is beautiful. And the design work they're doing is something unique and refreshing. Start by opening the box. See, established 2021, it is a relatively new brand. Here is their box insert, which now gives you all kinds of information. This is serial number 373 of the Veli. Date of birth, November of 2024, which I don't think that's right. Should be November of 2020. Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm already a year ahead now that it's 2025. I'm screwing everything up. Blade materials are WL34. Handle is titanium. Hardware is titanium. And the pattern that I've chosen is the Fade Honeycomb. Now, my knives have been a project that we have been discussing for right around a year. Hog House has exploded in popularity, and I'm so happy for them. And I'll tell you this right now, it was worth every minute of the wait. Because I knew from owning the original Model T how good this knife was going to be. And again, I'm so excited to share this with you. Got a bunch of stickers. I don't want to gloss over the fact that they give you a bunch of cool stuff, but I really just want to get to the knife. So you have the Hog House sticker with the hog on it, the Hog House machined logo, and then the standard logo sticker. Let's get those out of here. Nice closed cell foam, which looks like it's probably, could be laser cut, could be CNC cut. Knowing them, probably CNC cut, because that's what they do. They are CNC masters. Just take a good look at the pattern on this frame. And you'll have to excuse my hands. I'm wearing a new pair of jeans over the past 2 or 3 days, and apparently all the blue dye is coming out of the jeans onto my hands and under my fingernails, and it looks disgusting, and I'm embarrassed, but it was not going to stop me from finally getting around to making this video. This is exceptional, absolutely exceptional. It goes from nearly perfectly smooth till you could start feeling the honeycomb. Now the honeycombs are pronounced. It's ridiculous. I've never seen anybody be able to machine any kind of metal and do anything like this. This is incredible. Not only does the pattern fade to nearly completely smooth, but the way it's been finished, it looks like you're looking through a thin veil of material, like a thin veil of silk that you're seeing honeycomb coming through. And man, I don't know how they create that effect, but it is friggin' wild as shit. Super, super cool. Incredible craftsmanship, as I knew it would be, and in a much larger knife than in the Model T. I really, really, really love this knife. Now, when we talk about machine customs, what am I saying? Machine customs are knives that are made from scratch all the way through to completion, completely CNC made. Now, they still have to be hand fitted. The locks have to be hand tuned. The detents are usually hand tuned, all that sort of thing. But everything down to grinding the bevels in the blade is done by CNC. It takes an incredible degree of skill. Now, when we talk about grinding the blades by CNC, this is that micro milling step grinding. So those step grinds, as fine as they are, and these are some of the finest you'll ever see, when you go back in time, the first person that I can remember popularizing that, and it was more of a wide design, so he called it fluting. and it was definitely, it wasn't as fine as this, was Brian Tighe. Brian Tighe perfected grinding his knives on his CNC. And then along came the Grimsmos after that, and they did it slightly differently. Same idea, but different execution. Don't forget that after all of these parts are cut, they are raw, ugly, and not fitted. Nothing is mated together. Your pivot may be oversized to the hole for the pivot. Your lock bar is likely going, I'm sorry, your lock is going to be oversized in comparison to where it's going to meet up with the lock face on the blade. Things that have to be fitted together. The back spacer, who knows what thickness that is that they're having to then go back down and grind down to be perfect to fit this blade in there as tightly as they do. Look at the tolerances here. There is almost no daylight to be seen between that blade and this frame. It is absolutely beautifully done. So you need to be a master machinist, you have to be a programmer, and you have to be a very skilled knife maker. All three to make a knife of this level. You can't merely just be a talented machinist. You have to be a genius machinist to do what they're doing here, and also a talented knife maker to create any machine custom at this level. So don't think that I'm going to be disparaging the Grimsmos, the Holtz, or Oz Machine Company when I say that this is leagues above, because they're still doing absolutely breathtaking work and beautiful artistry and incredible tools. This is just that level above. I like today's modern day Cadillacs. They're amazing. You throw me a CTSV, dude, I'm going to be happy as hell. But you give me a choice between a CTSV and a, I don't know, a Bentley? Yeah, I'm going to hop into that Bentley Continental Speed and be happier with that. Doesn't mean I wouldn't have loved the Cadillac. Doesn't mean the Cadillac wasn't fantastic. But there are different levels. This is that level for a machine custom. And you might want to argue and go,
well, if they're doing it on CNC, then, bro, it's not a custom. It's a production.
Nope, it's not. They run very low production. They are each individually one by one made. And now they may do batches. I'm not saying they don't, because even a handmade knife maker is going to do runs in batches. They'll make 3, 4, 5 knives at a time because it's just more efficient that way. But they're not pumping out 1,000 scales this month, 1,000 blades this month, 1,000 pivots this month, 1,000 lock sides this month, 1,000 backspacers, 1,000 pocket clips, and then next month fitting all that together and then releasing 1,000 knives. They don't do that. Number one, you can have your knife made to order from their website. You can simply go through there and say, I want a Veli. You select all of the many different options they give you on the website, and it's custom made for you. If you pick out all of your options and then go, you know, I really want this crazy, I want this to go from the natural titanium gray to blue in a nice gradient fade, and they don't offer that, you can add that as an option, pay extra, and they'll do that for you. It is a true custom knife. And then every now and then, they have spec knives available. They'll build a few in a certain spec. Let's say it's just like this, plain titanium, no anodizing, in the honeycomb fade with RWL34, and have maybe 3 or 4 available. So there are 2 different ways generally that you can buy from them, and those are the ways. Right now, the base price on a Veli is $826, and the pricing goes up for everything that you add. Anodizing, different milling pattern styles, and other custom additions will all add cost. Now, I was very tempted to do some crazy colors on here because their anodizing is really, really good. But when I had seen the honeycomb fade when it was first presented a little over a year ago, I went, that is beautiful enough in its raw form. I don't need crazy colors. Yeah, I could do a rainbow fade or a magenta to gold or a blue to gold or something fancy. And yeah, it would have looked beautiful. But there was something about this that was understated, that was classy, and was absolutely gorgeous in my eyes. Because you have the one milling pattern here, then you have it broken up with a polished edge, like a framework. Then you've got the fade honeycomb, and then it goes back to a bevel with these lines going back down here. There's a nice polish across the spine and the back spacer, and then flipping it over, you see the same treatment here. It's incredible without having to add any colors or any accents, which is nutty because I do like adding accents a lot. Now, let's talk about the full specs on this. And then I want to bring out the Gen 2 Model T. You're looking at 8.85 inches in overall length. Yes, it is a big bad boy and a major step up from the original Gen 1 Model T, which was, I think it was like 7.78 inches overall back then. The blade length on this is 3.74 inches in a step milled RWL34. For those unaware, RWL34 is manufactured by the Dam of Steel Corporation, and it's named after Bob Lovelace, Robert Lovelace 34. It is an exceptional steel that not only is great in performance, but it's great to take on any kind of finishing. You could do everything from your roughest, nastiest, dark acid stonewash, all the way up to the absolute finest, most perfect polished mirror. You won't get any hazing, any speckling, nothing. It is one of those steels that just does everything, and it takes a very fine, keen edge. Overall weight of this big bad boy is 5.3 ounces, which I think is fair. I've owned knives in this size that were easily 6 ounces. So to me, this is not heavy at all for the size of knife that it is. I love everything about this knife. There is nothing that I would change. And this is talking with a lifetime of cynicism. I can nitpick the living hell out of any knife. And I can always find something that, even if it's not a flaw, something that I would prefer to see done differently or changed. And there is nothing on this. The length of the pocket clip is perfect. It goes right past the lock bar relief cut, so it's not chewing up your pockets. It's the perfect tension. It slides into the pocket perfectly. It grips perfectly. It comes out well. The ergonomics of the frame are organic and wonderful. The action is fantastic. It's got a beautifully tuned detent that's nice and sharp without being impossible to overcome. It's so smooth that it will drop under its own weight, but it's not a guillotine. It is a smooth, controlled drop. Like I said, it is the very definition of perfection. Just a fantastic knife on every level. Now, let's get to the little brother, the one that started it all, the Model T. Now this is the Gen 2 Model T. The very first Model T that I brought out to show everybody was a gorgeous knife. But the one problem I had with it though, there you go again, another COA card, my apologies, was that it was just a little too tiny for my large hands. So it never was perfectly comfortable for me. Again, you have a nice selection of stickers, which I love getting. And here is the elegant, beautiful Model T. Now this also has a honeycomb pattern, but as you see, it's a much more traditional decorative milling instead of however in the hell they did that piece of magic. And it feels different. Now you've also got different finishes going on here as well. They had certain names for the finishes, and I apologize, I don't remember off the top of my head right now. I come out here and I freeball my reviews. I don't write out a script or anything and all that kind of shit. So I apologize, I don't remember, but in the editing, I will put up on the screen how they label their different finishes. I believe this was a vapor blast that was done over this finish when they got done with that. And then there's certain key areas that are polished and have a bright machine finish. That's another thing that I love about their knives. They catch the light. And I'm probably screwing up my screen right now where I was putting all that information on the screen. Like inside the blade window, it's mirror polished. So it catches the light just in certain parts and during certain movements. And I absolutely love that. And if you notice, there is micro milling that's been done almost in that mesh look over the honeycomb, that when you move this back and forth in the light, it almost looks like waves of honeycomb moving back and forth. The whole knife is a fucking optical illusion. It's crazy. Look at that. Look how crazy that is. Anyway, let me pull this back out. And hopefully I've left enough room on the screen to put up there what these different finishes were listed as. Now, if you're interested in the Model T, the slimmer, smaller little guy right here, it's probably best to give you a side-by-side comparison here. These start at $810 before you add your options. And on the Model T, your overall length is 8.07 inches versus the 8.85 inches up here. Your blade is 3.36 inches versus the 3.74. So it's smaller, lighter weight, slimmer, narrower, much easier to carry. And if you're in a blade restrictive state, this might better fit into the legalities of your jurisdiction. Now with this one, the only con that I have for this entire knife, and this is something that I do myself when I design my folders, I'm very particular about my flipper tabs. I want it to be used as a finger guard when the knife blade is open. Now what that does on this handle, because of the size of it and the size of my hands, is it makes me wish I could choke up just a little bit more. I kind of feel a little bit cramped back here. That's it. That's my one single gripe. And I tend to prefer to flick it off of the blade recession here. They've got a nice little framed window here. that's very, very easy to flick off of. I haven't done it with my thumb. Can I even do that? No, I can't. Because now you're pushing the blade down into the detent and you're squeezing the knife harder. So yeah, that's not working. But from back here, boom, easy as pie. And man, does that look gorgeous. Now, because of the different finishing techniques, you've got a different color temperature to the titanium. Here, with the vapor blasting over it, you get more of that darker tone where it starts to go almost yellow. And on the Model T, it's much more bright because it's had that light surface polish. So what they've done is they've done everything that they were going to do on this. They've lightly contoured it. They've done some beautiful work. Then they've gone over with a buffer and done a light polishing job on it. And it gives it a sparkle and a scintillation that I can't really recreate here because my studio is filled with diffused lighting. These are all tent lights that are all up around me. Outdoors in the natural sunlight, there's a scintillation to this handle that is absolutely gorgeous. It's almost like a piece of sparkling jewelry. So whether you want something that's a little bit more big and brutish, or something that's a little bit smaller, more gentlemanly, Hog House Knives, I think has two of the best possible options for you. No, they're not cheap, but they're certainly not the most expensive in this category either. Some of the names that I mentioned earlier, you're going to spend 20% more on them than on these. Is it worth it? Only you can determine that. All of those other knives I mentioned previously are all excellent, awesome knives by really good people. This is just a level up. Why they aren't more expensive, I don't know. But they are absolutely a level up. And I have a knife in studio with me right now that if you really need a serious comparison to a very, very, very high-end knife, I have a beautiful Shirogorov Terra right here that I have to be careful with because it is not mine, that I could put up against this any day of the week. The action, the feeling of the detent, the quality of the machining, everything. This is about 2.5 times more than this. There is a substantial price difference here. Yeah, I'm not saying the Shiro isn't worth it. You guys all know that. And because it's not a run-of-the-mill production Shiro, yeah, it is definitely worth a lot of money. And the 111 is their largest model too. And it's a super great knife. But comparing that one to this one, I'd rather carry this. And I find this much more intriguing. I find it more beautiful. And oh God, just feeling that action. It's just damn perfect. So anyway, there are those two, the Model T and the Veli. Those of you that have either one of these knives, please chime in down below what your thoughts are on them and how you feel they compare to other machine customs on the market. I'd love to hear back from you. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the next video.